Picture this, if you will. New Zealand in the olden days, before it had its very own shiny coins. It sounds a bit chaotic, doesn't it? Well, it absolutely was. Imagine going to the shop for a loaf of bread. You wouldn't just whip out a few Kiwi coins. Oh no, it was a proper jumble. People used whatever they could get their hands on. British coins were the most common, of course, and pounds, shillings and pence all the way from the motherland. They were the official currency, but getting enough of them to go around was a real headache. It was like trying to share one biscuit among a whole party of people, just not enough to satisfy everyone. So what did people do? They got creative. It was a real mishmash of money. Australian coins often found their way across the Tasman Sea. They'd jingle in pockets right alongside the British ones. But it didn't stop there. Sometimes you'd even find coins from places as far away as India or the United States. It was a global currency party right in your pocket. And if you didn't have any coins at all, well, people would use tokens. Local shopkeepers would make their own little metal discs. They were like a promise, really. A promise that you could swap this little token for actual goods in their store. It was a clever system, but terribly confusing. This whole situation was, to put it mildly, a bit of a pickle. The value of these foreign coins could go up and down. One day your American dime might be worth something, the next not so much. And the tokens were only good in one specific shop. Imagine having a pocket full of tokens for a bakery when all you need is a new pair of shoes. Utterly useless. The government knew this couldn't go on forever. A proper, grown-up country needed its own proper, grown-up money. It was a matter of national pride, you see. And it was also just plain practical. They needed a system that everyone could trust and use everywhere, from the top of the North Island to the bottom of the South. The call for New Zealand's own currency grew louder and louder. It was more than just about convenience. It was about identity. Having your own coins meant you were standing on your own 2 feet as a nation. It was a declaration to the world, a way of saying, hello, we're New Zealand and we've got our own money, thank you very much. The public was getting tired of the confusion. They wanted something reliable, something that was theirs. The stage was set for a massive change. The era of jumbled foreign coins and little shop tokens was about to come to a glittering, coppery end. The anticipation was palpable. So the decision was made. New Zealand was going to get its own coins. Hooray! But deciding is the easy part, isn't it? Making it happen is a whole other kettle of fish. The big moment came in 1933. This was when the first official New Zealand coins were given the green light. But here's a little secret for you. The very first ones weren't the copper pennies and half pennies. Oh no. They started with the silver coins first. The florins, shillings and sixpences. The copper coins had to wait their turn. They were like the supporting act, waiting backstage while the silver stars had their moment. It wasn't until 1940 that the first proper Kiwi copper coins finally made their grand entrance. Why did they need copper coins specifically? Well, it was all about the small stuff. You can't buy a lolly or a newspaper with a big silver florin, can you? You need the small change. The pennies and half pennies were the workhorses of the economy. They were for everyday, small purchases. Without them, giving the correct change would be a nightmare. Imagine buying something for a few pence and the shopkeeper having no way to give you the rest of your money back. It would bring everything to a grinding halt. So these humble copper coins were absolutely essential for the smooth running of daily life. They were the grease that kept the wheels of commerce turning. The design of these new coins was a very big deal. They had to look the part. The head side, or the obverse, was straightforward enough. It featured the portrait of the reigning monarch at the time, King George VI. Very regal, very proper. But the tails side, the reverse, was where New Zealand got to show off a bit of its personality. For the penny, they chose a beautiful two-bird perched on a ko-high branch. And for the half-penny, a lovely Maori hei tiki. These designs were chosen to represent New Zealand's unique culture and nature. They weren't just coins, They were miniature pieces of art that told a story about the country. The coins themselves weren't even made in New Zealand. Isn't that a fun fact? They were produced all the way over in London at the Royal Mint. It was a massive operation. They had to mint millions and millions of these shiny new pennies and halfpennies. Then they were packed up and shipped halfway across the world to New Zealand. The first shipment arrived in 1940, and the country went wild for them. Finally, after years of waiting and using a jumble of other coins, New Zealanders had their very own copper currency. It was a moment of immense national pride. People were excited to hold a piece of their nation's identity right in the palm of their hand. Now, these lovely copper coins didn't stay the same forever. Nothing ever does it? The first big change came with the monarch. When Queen Elizabeth II ascended to the throne in 1952, the coins had to be updated. So out went King George VI's head, and in came the lovely young Queen's portrait. The first pennies and halfpennies with her likeness appeared in 1953, but the beautiful tua and heitiki on the back, they stayed. They were too popular to change. It's quite lovely, really, how the designs connect the different eras. You can line up the coins and see the story of the monarchy changing, while the spirit of New Zealand on the other side remains constant. Over the years, the coins were actually made of bronze, not pure copper. A little bit of tin and zinc were mixed in to make them tougher, but everyone still called them coppers. It just sounds friendlier, doesn't it? One of the most interesting stories is about the 1949 penny. There was a bit of a mix-up at the mint, you see. Some of the pennies were minted with a slightly different design, with the shoulder strap on the king's effigy missing some detail. These are known as the strapless pennies. They are quite rare, and collectors go absolutely mad for them. It's a classic case of a little mistake becoming a treasured prize. Just imagine finding one of those in your change. The biggest change of all, of course, was decimalisation. On the 10th of July, 1967, New Zealand said goodbye to the old British system of pounds, shillings, and pence. It was a huge undertaking, called Decimal Currency Day. A new character, Mr. Dollar, was created to help everyone understand the new system. The old pennies and halfpennies were taken out of circulation. They were replaced by brand new 1 cent and 2 cent coins. These new bronze coins were smaller and lighter. The 1 cent coin featured a fern leaf, and the 2 cent coin had the cowhide flower. The tu and heitiki were gone from our small change, but not from our hearts. This new era of bronze cents lasted for quite a while, but as time went on, things got more expensive. The 1 and 2 cent coins started to lose their buying power. People would call them shrapnel. They just built up in jars and drawers because they weren't worth very much. By the late 1980s, the government decided they cost more to make than they were actually worth. So, in 1990, the 1 and 2 cent coins were withdrawn from circulation. It was the end of an era. The familiar clink of bronze coins in our pockets faded away, marking the end of New Zealand's journey with its first copper, or rather bronze, currency. So what happened to all those old coins? The pennies, halfpennies, and the little 1 and 2 cent pieces? Well, they might not be in our wallets anymore, but they are far from forgotten. They've become little time capsules. Each coin tells a story of a particular time in New Zealand's history. Holding an old 1940 penny is like holding a piece of the past. You can't help but wonder about the people who used it. What did they buy with it? What were their lives like? These coins connect us directly to our parents, our grandparents, and the generations that built the country we live in today. They are more than just obsolete currency. They are tangible links to our heritage. For many New Zealanders, these coins bring back a flood of memories. People of a certain age will remember getting a few pennies as pocket money. They'll remember the thrill of being able to buy a bag of lollies or a comic book all by themselves. The 1 and 2 cent coins remind us of the big switch to decimal currency. We remember the jingles on the television with Mr. Dollar. These coins are part of our collective memory, our shared national story. They pop up in old family photos, in dusty money boxes found in the attic, and in the stories our elders tell. They are symbols of a simpler time, a nostalgic reminder of childhood and days gone by. Today, these old copper and bronze coins have found a new life in the world of collecting. Coin collectors, or numismatists if you want to be fancy, hunt for them with great passion. Rare dates, special editions, and minting errors like the 1949 strapless penny can be worth a pretty penny themselves. It's a fascinating hobby that keeps the history of these coins alive. It ensures that the stories behind the designs, the mints, and the monarchs are not lost to time. These collectors are like curators of our monetary history, carefully preserving these small metal discs for future generations to study and admire. It's a wonderful way to honor their place in our history. In the end, New Zealand's copper coins are so much more than just lumps of metal used for trade. They represent the journey of a nation finding its own identity. From the chaotic pre-coinage era to the proud introduction of the tuar penny, and through the massive change to decimal currency, these coins have been there. They reflect our connection to the Commonwealth, our unique natural environment, and our rich Maori culture. They are a testament to how far New Zealand has come. So the next time you see an old Kiwi penny, take a moment. Appreciate the beautiful design and the rich history it holds in its small, round form. It's a little piece of New Zealand's soul.